Hello friends, Heidi here from Rain Country. God is good all the time. And today I'm going to be making some homemade all-natural hairspray out of just some ingredients I have around here, and I want to show you how you can do this. It's really, you can do this with just 2 ingredients that you already have on hand, I guarantee it. But to make it even better, there's a few more things you might want to have on hand. So it's a very cheap way to do it that's also all natural, so it's going to be totally safe and non-toxic. So let's get started and I'll show you how we do this. Okay, so the first thing you're going to need is some water, and I like to use my filtered rainwater, but pretty much you can use any water you want. Remember though, you're going to use it on your hair, so it's going to be up to you whether or not you want to use your city tap water that might have fluoride and chlorine in it. But it's just a hairspray, so it shouldn't be that big of a deal. But for me, I will go ahead and use the filtered rainwater. And what I'm going to start off with is 1.5 cups. So that should fill this container here and then top off my other one here. So anyway, 1.5 cups of the water. And then to that, what you're going to need to add is some sugar. And I recommend a white sugar, or at least the organic blonde sugar here. I'd stay away from brown sugar or anything that's got too much molasses in it, because it's not going to work really well in your hair if you do this. And before I continue, I do want to say I got the original recipe from this from Wellness Mama. If you have not checked out Wellness Mama's page, I'm going to go ahead and link to her blog page below. She has lots of really great natural recipes. It's also where I got my homemade mascara recipe, the base to it, and then I've tweaked it and added some things, and I've even added more things since my original mascara recipe. So be watching for a new mascara recipe video to come out real soon, because that's another one I plan on redoing possibly this week. So anyway, to your hairspray mix, this is the beauty of this, is that you can make it to match what you need. The base to this is going to be, to 1.5 cups of water, is going to be 2 tablespoons of your sugar. Now, if you want a lighter hairspray than that, then go a little bit less. You can take it down to 1 tablespoon, or if you need it just a little heavier, I like mine a little bit heavier, you can take it clear up to 3 tablespoons. I usually do about 2 well-rounded tablespoons. So here's 1 and here's 2. Okay, so now I'm going to get a fork to stir this in. I'm going to put it on my heat source and let it just get warm. You don't have to heat it real hot. It does not take much to dissolve the sugar. Okay, so I have my sugar all dissolved in here. It didn't take much. This thing isn't even hot. It's just warm on the bottom. And that's why I also like doing it in this, because if you get a Pyrex measuring cup like this, it's just easy. You don't have to use a pan, but you can if you want. But then you can just dissolve it in here. It's ready to go. You've already got it measured out, so it just makes it that much easier and one less dish to dirty up. All right, so now the next thing you're going to want to do is you're going to want to add something that will help this last longer. Especially if you don't use hairspray a lot, like I don't use hairspray that much, only when I'm pulling my hair back, like pulling it up and I don't want a bunch of flyaways. It's the only time I use it. Then what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to add something to it that's going to prevent it from spoiling. And so you have a few options. Right here I have some homemade colloidal silver. I have some homemade colloidal copper, which is what I'm going to be using, one of the things. Or you can use something like vodka or spiced rum. Now, the only problem with alcohol is it can be a little drying on the hair, but you're not putting that much in the hairspray, so it shouldn't be an issue. I personally like to use both the spiced rum because it adds a nice scent to the hairspray, as well as the colloidal copper, because colloidal copper is really good for your hair and it's said to help increase hair growth as well. So I'll be putting in 1 tablespoon of each, but you can just put 1 tablespoon of one of any of those. So again, it's either going to be the colloidal silver, the colloidal copper, or your vodka, or your spiced rum, or some other high proof alcohol like that. So let me add in the tablespoon of the spiced rum. Now, since I'm using the blonde sugar, you can see the color of the water right now. The hairspray as it is just a very, very light tan. So if you use something like your spiced rum, it's going to add even more color to it. So keep that in mind if you have, if you have very light hair. doubtful is going to cause any issues there. But you can use vodka again, and that's not going to be that's totally clear typically. So that, like that, is going to be good enough. And like I said, the spiced rum just adds a real nice smell to it as is. However, if you want to add a little more scent to it, you have choices of all kinds of different essential oils you can add. My favorite one, because it's what I always use as a fragrance as well, is my own blend of orange and clove. It's not watered down with any other oils at all. It's just straight orange oil and clove oil, about half and half. And so out of that half and half mixture, I'm going to put in about a capful into my hairspray. And then of course, when you'll need to shake it every time you use it so that you make sure that the oils mix in well. That's going to be up to 15 total drops of whatever type of essential oils you want to use. Now I'm going to recommend a few more, but first let's finish this process out. I'm going to stir this up real good. Okay, and now I've got my little hairspray bottle here with the funnel in it. So we'll top off this one. This can be my backup. So I can actually keep one in each bathroom. That'll work well for me that way. Okay, and then we'll just go ahead and top off this bottle here, because that should be just about right, because one of these bottles is 8 ounces. Well, I have a cup and a half, and this is half gone. So, oh, just have a tiny bit left, but there we go. So now I have 2 bottles of hairspray ready to go, and I'm not worried about mixing the old with the new. Even though, let me tell you something, this hairspray, the old stuff that was in here is 3 years old. It is still not bad at all. It's still really good. It smells wonderful. There's nothing wrong with it. So I've been using that same hairspray for 3 years. Again, you know, as long as you add your 1 or more of the ingredients I showed you here, that's going to help it last for a very long time. No worry about spoilage. If you don't have any of these things to use in there, then simply make smaller batches at a time and then use them up. And I do recommend adding your essential oils for sure then, because that's also going to help preserve it so it doesn't spoil. So here's an example of a hairspray that I had made for somebody else, where I've got a nice little label on there. If you're interested in bottles like this, I don't actually make the hairspray to sell anymore, but it's so easy and cheap to make it yourself that I just recommend doing that. It's, you know, you can start simple and just add to it as you go if you want to make it fancier. But that way you can save a lot of money, because when you consider the cost of the bottles and the shipping and all that, it comes to quite a bit just to do that. That's why I stopped selling it. But if you want to make it as gifts, there's a really great idea. I've done that before too. Now let me move on to some essential oils ideas and why I'm going to recommend some of these. So obviously it's going to depend on your taste, what kind of smells you like, but one I definitely would recommend, especially if you like the scent of lavender, is lavender oil, because we know lavender is for sure a great preservative in things like that, as well as it's very good for your hair. It helps promote hair growth. Another one really good for promoting hair growth is your rosemary oil. So I recommend this one as well, especially if you enjoy the smell of rosemary. And a blend I recommend, because I just put it together one day years ago and decided I really liked it. I've used it in face masks. I've used it in lip balm recipes. And that is a blend of grapefruit and rosemary. You can go half and half, or just kind of play with it and find out what ratios you like best. It just makes a really nice smell that I just really like. It's just kind of a clean smell. And then a few others. One I guess I'm out of is another one that's great for hair growth is your sage oil. And then there's always tea tree oil. That's a real great option. And cedar wood if you like a more woodsy type smell. And then a couple more that are going to be good for your skin and hair are the rose or the geranium oil. These two blend together really well. And then another oil, just for the sake of scent, that you can use by itself or mixed with any of these. And this is one of the very few of the cheap brand that I ever buy. But I really like using this to blend with any of the other essential oils, because it softens the scent of some of your floral oils. If you don't like a real perfumey scent, it just kind of softens it and sweetens it up a little bit. And by itself, I think it's wonderful. It smells kind of like a cake. And then also blends really well with citrus oil. So like if you use like lime and vanilla, the smell of those two together is really great. So if you're, if those are the kind of things you like to wear just to smell good, those are some really good options to try. So I will link to this here because this is a really good price to buy the big bottle, and any of the other essential oils that you might be interested in here. And there's also other brands. I've heard some really good things about Plant Therapy. It's more expensive than the Now Foods. I'm a Now Foods girl. I have been for years and years. They were the first oil that I ever discovered, and I've just been pleased with them all along. So it's all a matter of choice and what you do your own research and find out what you like best. But because of the way I use the essential oils, I'm very pleased with the Now Foods. They've worked good, but I recommend checking out Plant Therapy. I'll put a search to them below because I've heard lots of great things, both Now Foods and Plant Therapy. You can find a link to reviews on all of the different products, and both of these actually got really high ranks for being both good quality and good price, the Plant Therapy and the Now Foods. All right, there you have it. There's there's how you can make your own all natural, very easy homemade hairspray out of whatever you got on hand. And it's not only going to be extremely frugal, it's going to be a lot more healthy for you all the way around. And you have the power to make it suit your needs, your hair needs, and the scents that you like best. And also, let's see. And don't forget, I'll be redoing some of those other makeup related videos, such as the mascara and the homemade face powder. So be watching for those to come down shortly. And then I'll be doing another update video on just some natural beauty care all the way around. Okay, well, I hope you enjoyed this video and you find it helpful for a more frugal, natural, healthy lifestyle. Thanks for watching. Take care and God bless.